Yo, what up, and welcome to Pnoid News. Man, listen, we got an actual news story for y'all today, right? Legit. I mean, like, I don't know if y'all heard about the Moderna thing. They're standing there saying it might cause myocarditis, something. I don't, inflammation of the heart, right, with Moderna and, the Pfizer vaccines and whatnot. The Israelis said that they found some links, but it's extremely small and minuscule, which is why I'm like, I'm not going to get really deep into that story because I don't want to stoke public nonsense. But this here is a great story, legitimately, because I agree with it. I like it as a political stance, and I think it's amazing. And it was unanimous on the Supreme Court. Legitimately. Like, yo, you can stack the Supreme Court whatever you want. These are legal people, right? And with the due process of the law, this is how things are supposed to work. So let's talk about this. It's from Mark Sherman. It's from about an hour ago. Supreme Court rules against immigrants with temporary status. All right, so a unanimous Supreme Court ruled Monday that thousands of people living in the U.S. for humanitarian reasons are ineligible to apply to become permanent residents. Oh, no. Democrats, what you going to do? Right, Justice Alina Kagan wrote for the court. The federal immigration law prohibits people who entered the country illegally and now have temporary protected status from seeking green cards to remain in the country permanently. The designation applies to people who come from countries ravaged by war or disaster. It protects them from deportation and allows them to work legally. There are 400,000 people from 12 countries with TPS status. Now, basically what this means, right, is that if you come from a war-torn country, right, you can come here and we won't deport you while the disaster is going on. But the moment the disaster is over, it's time for you to go home. And then you wait in line because you don't get to skip the line just because, like, your country is exploding at the second. All right? We'll shelter you for a little bit, but then you have to go back home and wait like everybody else if you want to come here. You know what I'm saying? Apply for the proper paperwork and go through the proper channels and do what you're supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to work. And that's what the Supreme Court is saying right here. The outcome in a case involving a couple from El Salvador who had been in the U.S. since the 1990s turned on whether people who entered the country illegally and were given humanitarian protections were ever admitted in the United States under immigration law. Kagan wrote that they were not. The TPS program gives foreign nationals non-immigrant status, but it does not admit them. So the conferral of TPS does not make the unlawful entrant eligible for a green card, she wrote. The House of Representatives already has passed legislation that will make it possible for TPS recipients to become permanent residents, Kagan noted. This bill faces uncertain prospects in the Senate. The President, Joe Biden, said he supports a change in law, but his administration, like the Trump administration, argued that current immigration law does not permit people who entered the country illegally to apply for permanent residency. There you go. Legit. On the other side were immigrant people groups that argued that many people who came to the U.S. for humanitarian reasons had lived in the country for many years, given birth to American citizens, and put roots down in the U.S. Federal courts around the country had come to conflicting decisions about whether the grant of TPS status was by itself enough to enable an immigrant to try to obtain permanent residency. Former President Donald Trump tried to cancel the program for many immigrants, stoking fear that they could be sent back to their homelands where they haven't lived in many years. I don't give a shit. Like, why is it that we have to take care of y'all? Why is that? Like, why is it a one-way street? That's always been a question of mine. Like, legitimately, like, we never fucking, like, ask y'all to help us. Right? Like, we go to your fucking countries and we get robbed and fucking kidnapped and all this fucking nonsense. Right? Legitimately. And, like, yo, your government don't help shit. Your government don't do a fucking thing. Your government, most of your governments won't even let us buy property there. Right? Because you have to be a citizen to own property. Like, why is it that it's a one-way street? Like, legitimately. Like, because you know what? I would love for, like, us to, like, trade some of your citizens for our citizens, right? Because, like, I'm like, hey, look, if I can go down there and I can buy, you know what I mean, like 4 or 5 acres for $5,000, you know what I mean? And, like, you know, build me a nice little fucking house on the coast somewhere and chill the fuck back. That would be amazing. And we could have the same legal property protections that we have here in the United States and the same rights to bear arms so that we could mow down your ridiculous people who are out here trying to, like, you know, sell drugs and kidnap people. Like, legit. You know what I mean? Like, I would absolutely go live in some of these countries. But your countries are all fucking communist, right? And they're terrible. They're fucking shithole countries that nobody should ever live in. Right? Because, like, you have no fucking legal protections for yourself. You have no right to self-defense. And your government doesn't give a shit about you. They're like fucking absolutely corrupt. Like, why is it? Like, and then instead of like y'all fixing your shit, you come here and bring your bullshit voting habits with you that caused your fucking garbage in the first fucking place. We're going to vote for the Democrats because, you know, they want to protect us. No, they don't. They just want your vote. They don't give a fuck about you. People from 11 other countries are similarly protected. They are Haiti, Honduras, Myanmar, Nepal, Nicaragua, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, and Yemen. Monday's decision did not affect immigrants with TPS who initially entered the country, U.S. illegally, and they say they overstayed their visa. Kagan noted because these people were legally admitted to the country and later were given humanitarian protections, they could seek to become permanent residents. All right, and also on Monday, this has also happened. The court declined to hear a challenge to the requirements that only men register for the draft when they turn 18. Right? Yeah, they said we're not even going to deal with that. Right? Agreed to hear a case in which the Biden administration halted a lawsuit over FBI surveillance of Muslims in California because it could reveal state secrets, and turned away an appeal question to the Federal Food and Drug Administration's authority to regulate electronic cigarettes. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, I wanted to bring y'all this story. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, is what it is. You know the deal. Like, share, and subscribe. You know how it works, man. It's Tom Pease of Pnoid News. Holla at your boy. Peace.